everyone. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Talk. I am such an honor to have here Olga. And what's the amazing thing about this particular talk show, whatever a lot of people are starting to say what this is called now, it's I get the most inspirational people on this platform. And I get to talk to people on their journey and where they are and where they're going, and to really give the new entrepreneurs that are out there a show that it's the good, the bad, the ugly. We all facing them. Everyone has multiple challenges. Everyone has different meanings of success. And there's no right or wrong way to do things. And I've always been a big stickler about know your why. Understand your why are you wanting to become a coach? What passion led you? What is your backstory to bring you to who you are today? And it's such an amazing, I know of Olga's story only briefly. I want her to share her story and to give you guys an insight that anything is possible. And Olga's a living proof of that. And so I'm really happy and thank you for coming here. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I really would love to acknowledge you for so many beautiful things you have said about just being someone who owns business, and just how that is a journey that is unique for anyone. And I think that hopefully what we are going to share and collaborate together on the idea of how that journey to the leadership and just business, how it just evolves in such a mysterious, really, and miraculous way for every single person who stays and stick with just the idea. And I love what you said about your big why. If you have a big why, let's go, girl. Right?
It's the truth, right? Like, in all fairness, like, if you know why you want to be a coach, why you want to, and not even a coach, entrepreneurship in general, like coaching is just one aspect, right? There's multiple facets of being an entrepreneur. And it doesn't matter whether you're doing making a shoe, making a brand, whether you want to do coaching, whether you want to start up a finance company, whatever you want to do in your own world, you have to know your why and your passion. Olga, I wanted to know more. What is your story? What is your why?
Where am I from? And usually when I ask this question, people usually go to Europe. I'm originally from the place that was called Czechoslovakia. Today it's called Czech Republic or Czechia. And so I was growing up, and those of you who might know a little bit about the history of Europe, especially of the Eastern Europe, we did have a quite long period of time when the government that we had was communist government. So I happened to be someone who was very blessed to be born in that time where there were just a lot of different restrictions on speaking about the shoes, how many sneakers you can buy. I just remember I just had only usually just one or two type of sneakers I could buy. Growing up in a circumstances that there was some sort of outside limitation of the freedom. It's really interesting when I look back on that journey as a kid. I think that just these past few days, I was just thinking about myself, like, that was so interesting. What was it inside of me that was just really driving me to come to the place where I am today? And I remember as today, one thing as a kid that I was really interested in was that I loved to read, believe it or not, even as a kid, biographies or autobiographies or of people who just did something miraculous in their lives. And I remember reading about Albert Einstein, about Schweitzer and other people just like that. And I just felt, I can see that as a kid, as a girl, I felt that there is more to the purpose of who I can become. So that was just like the very beginning of the journey then. And then honestly, as I became a teenager, and was able to get into college, I think that it was a very pivotal time of my life. And I'll tell you why, Bina. I was really blessed to meet some really, truly exceptional people. And I see that throughout my life, I feel like it has been such a blessing to meet people who just become, your mentors, or who you
Yeah.
become. And so I think that was one of the blessings that I had, that I really met absolutely exceptional mentor. He was a yoga teacher, but he was, at today's world, he was just one of those incredible coaches that you can meet. There was no word for it as a coach, but I think that was really a beginning of really awakening
Mm.
of possibility who Olga can become. Do you want me to go on, or do you have any questions? I just don't
So
want to have a monologue. So
no,
if
no,
anything
no. I
comes up,
like to hear stories, but my question to you is just like when you're going from that, where did you decide in your life that you wanted to go into entrepreneurship?
yes. So I think it really happened later on when I came to United States, because
Mm.
I knew that there was no possibility to create a business in a communist country. Everything was owned by the government. So we would not have even a permission. It just was out of possibility. But I remembered about just both of my grandparents, especially my grandpa. You talk about the shoe. He started as a shoemaker, and he built up actually just a really a number of shoe businesses, basically just going from zero. And I saw also on the other side, of the maternal side of my family, I saw grandma who was selling sewing machines, but
Yeah.
that was before the communists came to power. And so I think that there was always something in me that was just like, it just drew me into, it must be so cool to have your own thing, to create your own thing. So when I came to United States,
How long ago was that?
that happened in 1982. So that has been a while, right?
Okay, so 41 years.
Yeah, yeah. And I was really young at that point, and I really started with something that was very close to me. And that was, I started teaching yoga, because that was one of the things that just, in addition to my degree and things I did just as a profession, I just loved just teaching yoga. And so I started here just teaching yoga. And it came to the point after a couple of years that I realized I can really create something for myself. And I just cannot tell you, Bina, the feeling just to have your own space
Oh,
and
it's
to
the
have
best.
people coming into your space. And it was like, that was the awakening. I want this. I can see myself not only just creating this, but just the impact that you can have on people's lives. It was tremendous. And it's until today in the business that then evolved in a coaching business. What really just drives me is every single time when you are with a client or you are helping somebody and you see the smile, or that something just it's taking place in their whole persona,
Mhm.
that is changing that perspective, that is something that just awakens me every single just moment by the work that I'm doing. Seeing that smile, seeing that aliveness in other people.
So it's really them coming into your space is what really brought this whole
Yeah,
entrepreneurial thing coming
yeah,
to you, which
yeah.
is beautiful because it's like not very many people get to experience that, where you have a space, like whether it's an office, a building, for your yoga studio, and it's like that sense of ownership. And it's also that sense of people coming into your world. And it's not even like a sense of like responsibility is not, that probably is not the correct wording here, but it's that feeling of I get to serve. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's I'm here for a service. Yes, they paid me, but I'm here to make them feel better. I'm here to serve them. So in yoga, having the meditation, having the flexibility, having also, yes, the workout and everything else, but there's a huge mindset that comes
Mm-hmm.
along with yoga.
I personally think the reason why I own my business is that I don't see anything else in my life that is helping me to develop myself on so many different levels, as a person, as an individual, as a partner, as a parent. Nothing more put me just on a spot than being a businesswoman,
Mm.
because it's just every single day it's beautiful,
Yeah.
it's fun, and there is also discomfort, and I love the discomfort, because it is only when we are uncomfortable, I feel like that's a currency of growth, being uncomfortable. And I don't really experience it as on so many different levels of who Olga is than when I am in the business and when I have to face making decisions on daily basis as you are an owner. And so I feel like being uncomfortable, it's something that is really fun for me.
Mm.
You
Here's
know?
something here. So a lot of people don't like to be uncomfortable. A lot of women, I'm going to just speak of women and or men.
Yeah.
I could, any human being, should I state, they don't like to be uncomfortable. Like they like to stay in that comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And what you said is beautiful because you like to stay uncomfortable, which means that your business and your growth mindset is always growing. You're always open to new challenges. You're open to new things. And it's like you face it straight on. So, what are some of the challenges that you have felt that is uncomfortable for you?
Yes. Only to add also to something, if I may, to what
Yeah.
you just have said, because one thing what is really cool about just being uncomfortable, I recognize, Bina, that it is a seed for creation.
Mm.
Being uncomfortable, and I just don't know about you and the listeners who are listening and who are entrepreneurial people.
Mm-hmm.
You feel it. Yeah. You go through stages that everything is just, you feel like you are empowered, you are going, you have plan, and then you feel like, at least for me, as I have been growing the business, you go through the stages that it feels so uncomfortable, meaning like you feel it like, I will have to talk to this person, that you talk to the person, and you just afterwards, you feel, I was really stretching, I was just lifting some weight, that I was not used to, and it feels weird afterwards. I am so mindful and aware of those moments because they don't feel good, but I realize, oh my gosh, I just have done something that I know that I haven't done before, and that's why I feel that way. It was uncomfortable, but I was flexing my muscle. And I have felt these feelings so many times in the business. And before, I would think there was something like wrong about it. I was not good. But now I'm just looking at it, no, you are actually experiencing just breaking something and just creating something new. So that's why I feel like feeling uncomfortable, I look at it like, oh, that's a seed of my creation. I'm creating something that I haven't
Yes.
created before. Now, as far as just the things that, to continue with the questions that you have had, I think really the hardest thing is just really the mindset. The hardest
Right.
thing, gosh, because you just all this, you just either feel like you are imposter, that you are just like, as you are growing up, oh, I'm doing something like, am I really good in this? And so you
Are
go,
people going to come through your door to have
you
yoga when
know,
I'm doing a yoga
you
instructor? Are people actually going to get
right,
results? Or, and I'm happy you said this because imposter syndrome, everyone has.
absolutely,
Every
baby,
single person has it. I don't
yes,
care if anyone does. You can pay thousands and thousands
absolutely.
of dollars and it's all in your head.
Yes. And it hits you either once a week, maybe once a month, but the more it hits you, again, you realize, when does it hit me?
Yeah.
This type of a syndrome. When I am serving a client who I recognize that is just really a value, maybe a bigger value client that I have had ever before. So I just feel like I have to deliver. How can I up-level myself? Because you don't get imposter syndrome if you just do something that it's easy to you. You
Right.
also question yourself when really the opportunity comes that it has never been there, and you are like, woo, what am I going to do? But that's exactly, I feel, just a moment that I feel like, oh, I am asked to create a bigger value, and who am I, who do I need to be to create just kind of the value? And you realize you just need to be yourself, Olga. It doesn't mean that you don't do your research and you don't prepare. You just have a specific intention of what you want to do, but at the end, the more and more just I've been learning is be yourself, be truly yourself, tap into it. What is it? Be yourself. What is it?
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful feeling, Bina, when you start really living from that place and create it from that place as a business. You just then don't have to start looking like, oh, this person has these posts, or how does this person do it? I have realized at a certain point in my business that I don't need it. Before I would be looking, if people thought about this, what did they do? And Google it and everything.
Yeah, it's that when I tell people, like in my coaching
Yeah.
containers, like even if you are to write a post out, don't look at it. Don't
Yes.
look at how many likes you have. Don't look at it comes in.
Right.
Even
Right.
now, people are comes up. I'm not
Right.
looking at how many
Right.
people are watching this
Right.
live because it doesn't matter. Yes, we are in the now. Yes, you are present with each other. But this message is here for a lifetime. Like this
Absolutely.
message is people are able to look back at this anytime because it's on all social platforms. And it doesn't even matter about that. It's a matter about reminding people, and even in yoga, when people are coming into your doors, it's that who's in front of me, and that's where I'm going to serve.
Absolutely. And do you know
That's
what,
it.
just like what you are talking about being yourself also in that sense is just, look, guys, we are not creating anything new. We are talking about things that people talked 500 years ago. But that's what it just hit me at certain point, is that it is really, it's just like serving an orange, okay? You got an orange. So your business is just, I'm just giving description, orange. And it's just, so what am I creating just from that? I can just use only the peel and create just an amazing creation, or I can dry it out, or I can just create faces
Right.
from it, or I can serve it as a food. I can serve it with the meat. I can serve it as a fruit salad. So it's just the same thing. It's an orange. But it's up to you. What does just the universe want, Olga? Because we, each of us are so unique. And it's that uniqueness, who we really are, that here is your orange. And create from it really just not what Bina is doing or
Right.
Jane is doing, but it's okay. I have this orange. So what
do you want to create?
What is driving me to create something from the orange? Okay.
Right.
Or just throw it away and just say, orange is not my thing, but it's just, I love.
Then you want to do a kiwi,
Right,
or
right.
you want a banana.
I think that is just so important. Just like we are not really rediscovering anything new. What we are discovering is coming back home to ourselves, who we are, and then creating from that place. Because
Right.
each of us, you have millions of talents. I have met you. Bina, she is a creator on a spot, guys. I have seen her. I have actually been with her like in one house for 4 days when we were in Arizona. And I think that's what it's so cool about you. You are you, Bina. There is nobody, just in your language, in your posture, the way just you take on things, the way you talk about things. It's just Bina, just kind of, it's a Bina's symphony. And that is just so beautiful about you, even your cooking, Indian cooking. We will not even go there.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And it took a while for me to be where I'm at. There was a lot of ups and downs, but the minute people ask me certain things, they go, Bina, how did, and even in this house, which I want to talk about a little bit of us being in the same room together, because I knew of Olga. Okay, guys, I knew of her. I didn't know who she was. I walked in this house and I was just like, okay, so Olga, when we were talking about rules or it comes in, one of the things I said to people is, look, be yourself. If you got to fart, you got to comes in. We're all going to just be in this house together. Okay. We're going to be you. And that's how it is. And I forgot what you said. And you're like, oh, I don't cuss and I don't do X, Y, and Z. And I was like,
yeah, I just said, there are only two things that I would appreciate in this house for the next 4 days. Okay. One thing is, I want you guys to tell you that I do not drink alcohol. Okay. And the second thing I just said, I just would appreciate if we would just not cuss. And I don't know if you go to what we created, but that was funny.
No,
what
we
happened.
created with this. This is the funniest part. And this all relates to creating and creativity and going back to how like entrepreneurs kind of work, is that because she does not say the word fuck, she came up with the word folk. And so now here we are, instead of cussing, we are recreating words to fit the mold, and it turned into this huge joke in the house, and now everyone's walking around with folk instead of the other word.
Oh my gosh, it's really fun. It was just, suddenly that word was not filling some void within us, but it became just a fun word for everyone, and everybody just started laughing. And that is so cool, like you are saying. You can create anywhere, anytime,
You can create anything at any
Yeah.
time. And it's just like also that respect factor, right? Where it's okay, you might not want alcohol there. I know there was alcohol there, but it wasn't like, Olga, do you want a glass? It was just more of, oh, it's on this side, keeping your distance, whatever you needed to do to make sure that everyone's needs were met.
Yeah. And I remember
And
you just said, oh, I was just thinking, oh my gosh, she's going to be probably very strict and very just to herself, right? Do you remember how you said it? Because there was just two things I said, and it
I
was
do.
funny. Yes, I think it was you, right?
It was me.
And that was like, girl, you really surprised me. You were just like,
Because you made me almost pee my pants.
yes, that's
And
my,
I was just like, where'd this girl come from?
guys, that's my specialty.
But this is the best part is that I want to acknowledge the fact that I put up this expectation or this behavior in my head. I was telling myself this story that, oh my God, Olga's going to be very strict. Maybe we're going to have to act a certain way. And again, this has nothing to do with you. This has everything to do with me. And it's that level even in entrepreneurship, right? The minute you put somebody into a box, the minute you put an idea into a box, it just formulates this expectation in your head. And that's when the creativity, the uneasiness, the imposter syndrome, all these negative things start like breaking through. One thing about me is that even though I put that notation into my own world, I walked in with no expectations. Like I don't walk into a room with any expectations. And it was fun because I was just like, thank you. Thank you. Like weekend comes in. Fall came around and it was you that brought it up. You're like, fall. And I was like, wait. She doesn't cuss. She is correct. She creates her own language, which I love.
Yes,
Right?
and you guys loved it. When I used it, you just loved it. It was just
Yeah.
like,
And
yeah,
it's such a beautiful place to be in that
right,
loving moment
right.
because then as an entrepreneurial, it's like releasing some of that it's like releasing the judgment. It's how you respond to it. And I didn't come to you and say, Olga, oh my God, I thought you were going to be X, Y, and Z until only after we started laughing. That's when I was just like, okay, thank you. And you're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I really thought it was going to be different. I thought this was going to turn into a different, and I still would have loved you no matter what. And we're still learning each other. Like I would have still loved you no matter what. And I would have respected your boundaries. That was at the end of the day, I was just trying to figure out, and that's actually a good transition, is actually learning the boundaries of people is the
Mm-hmm.
same way you learn boundaries in entrepreneurship. If you don't know, if you're not comfortable in associating, I was very quiet when I first came in. Everyone was like, she's very quiet, but I'm very observant. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I step back and I just observe until I know where I can be not even myself, but more of just, okay, I understand her boundaries. I'm seeing what this person does. I know, okay, this person needs time alone for a little bit of time. And feeling the energy of each person that was in that house, everyone had a way different energy. And the same thing goes when we're doing entrepreneurship in business is sometimes people just want to react. I want to do this. They want to be the best at this. And they want to be the first person to do this. And they want to get 10 clients. So they're in everybody's business. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like in entrepreneurship, what I've learned is that when you step back and observe and stay quiet and just listen. That's all I did the first 24 hours. Even Elizabeth was like, you're very quiet. What's wrong? And I was like, I'm just listening. That's it. I just want to listen
Mm-hmm.
to what
Right.
people have to say. I want to listen to their stories. I want to listen to how they got there because everybody had a journey on how to get there. Tanya, it took her what, 20 something hours to get to us? Remember?
Yeah.
And so we were just like, wow, look at these creations. Look what people are doing just to get to that comfort level in that house. And it's the same type of thing where I tell people with entrepreneurship is you got to step back and let things have that process and let it filter through that process it's when that really shines. So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, like,
Yeah.
when you noticed in your business, like, where has it been one time you have had to take a step back and really look what I did in Arizona, what you did in Arizona, how you just broke the ice like right away, but that's your personality, right? Where have you done that like in business?
Beautiful. That's a really great question, Bina. What comes to me immediately was the word COVID. I was doing business, and most of the time, what I would be doing, all the time, I was with people in person. It was either group, or it was large group, small group, or one-on-one. When COVID hit, I knew, Bina, that it's either do or die.
Right.
So I didn't use it, anything like that. And within a week, I had to learn everything just
Right.
about, not that I was technology, just not knowing what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong. I did know something, but there was a lot of things, stretching a lot of muscles to just start really working online. And I was like, are you kidding me? I think that I can do stuff, what I'm doing online. Part of it was still yoga therapy and things like I was like, how can I just do it? And really in the beginning it was crazy because people were learning too. So I'm just looking at a Zoom and I see only a butt or I see one arm and I'm like it's not going to work. So it took learning on both parts. What was the funniest thing was like I stick in it and people, COVID was a gold mine for my business. I
Yeah.
doubled my business. That was the first time when I went over 150K per year. I just really honestly doubled the big business because suddenly I was not teaching people only here in Maryland. I was teaching people and coaching people in UK, in France, in Scotland, in Australia.
So your primary focus is being a yoga teacher online. That is what you do?
I do with just the online business. It's mainly honestly one-on-one and it's yoga therapy. My main focus in yoga is really helping people with back pain. And then there is just the other part is anxiety. But just I think that right now I'm just more just going into the whole coaching, how to also employ those skills and helping just other people more on their mindset and on the transformation that needs to happen from within out.
So it's
Because
like a combination type of
yeah,
thing where
yeah,
you're using yoga, but you're also using mindset. So you're using the
absolutely.
movement of yoga
Hmm.
along with the mindset, the transformation
Right,
work that needs to
right,
be done
right.
together.
And
Got
yeah,
it.
and with each client, it's a little bit different because again, it's just tailored to every single client because there are sometimes 90% just coaching and 10% some breath work. With other people, I see that they need a somatic movement. They really need to just understand where the maybe pain come from or something. So it's maybe just 60% of yoga and 40% of coaching. It's just like how people are open. But eventually people realize that all the drama, even with the pain, really happens first in the mind, in the brain. And so just working on that level, I just have been finding it so powerful. When people
Mm,
get that shift, it's just then much easier also to transfer it in their body or the situation they are in. Yeah.
mm. That's beautiful. Beautiful. And if you can tell, if you can give one advice to entrepreneurs, one advice that you're like, I wish I knew that 3 years ago, what would that be?
Really honestly, just go for it and don't be scared. Even if just you try things and you just don't know, do I invest in this or not? I have made mistakes in my business. I just invested in some things that didn't turn out really as, or I was thinking they didn't turn out as much of a return that I would be just thinking about. But really looking from the perspective even today, I was just like, those were necessary steps because if I didn't take a risk then, I would not be where I am today. So it all comes just again, if you need a help, ask for the help and just look for it. But don't look too much, which is like, you can like, okay, I need to have a new website. It can take you a year to hire
It
somebody.
can get so much, yeah.
Yeah. So ask and just make decision quickly, especially about those type of things like, do I need to hire somebody to help me just create a sales page? Or do I need to have somebody to help me just on my mindset or on my goals? It's just, I think that the biggest thing is really personal investment. Invest in yourself. I would just probably did something differently. I would probably be more bold to invest in myself and in coaching, because you are so afraid in the beginning and you feel like, oh my gosh, $1,000, that is so much. And now I can see how I expanded myself in that area. That honestly, for me, investing in a program that I know that it's great and it costs me $25K per year, it's all worth it.
Right.
You know, I might not double, triple that thing in many ways, but I know that I am up leveling myself. So I think that's the biggest thing. Just invest in yourself, get the help that you need, and don't wait too long to make a decision. Like, you go with a website, you start with someone, okay, you might not like it or everything might, but it's an experience. And okay, next time I know that I need to ask about this, but without that experience, you will never know. And I think that's what it's part of creating the business and having business. You need to know that you will make mistakes and it's okay. And let's go.
Yeah. Let's go. And it's key. You have to invest in yourself. And I tell people that is the best thing. One of the biggest advice I even tell people is, whether you work with me, you work with somebody else, you work with you, it's that mindset piece of every coach does need a coach. A lot of people that sit there and state, oh, I can do this on my own. You can. There's no questions about it.
Especially in the world of coaching, what I have been just learning is, the more just I understand who I am and do my part, do my work, I know that I am capable to create a transformation for the other client much faster. It's much deeper, and it's much more just really transformational for both of us. So there is just no way to be a coach and you don't work on yourself. But now I see that's my passion, that's my mission, Bina. I really want to help people. I want to just globally, on the level wherever I am at, whoever I'm supposed to meet, I don't want to miss those people. And I want to serve boldly to people. And I know without doing the work on myself, it's just daily, honestly daily. And it can be small thing, it can be bigger thing, but just working daily on yourself. And it's not like coach, it's just, who are you being as a mom? When your kid is just giving you a hard time and just throwing tantrums, or when you have a kid that has a special need, or when you are with people in your business and that this person is not just exactly the right fit, like, how are you just acting? Who are you being in those? Because that's because people come to coach how to be just bigger, better. Many times come even coaches like, how can I just overcome things that just are holding me back? And so I feel like we are in an industry, Bina, that it's going to just blow up so beautifully. I don't know if I'm using the English word properly, but I just feel it's the beginning, really.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the century that we are walking in, like, people, it's not like it's a crash. It's just the coach there is for me. I want to coach people the way that they are capable to take care of myself without myself. So I want to take them, I want to help people so that they can help themselves. I don't want to have people who are hanging on me like I'm their guru or just forever, whatever that
you
is.
want to help the transformation, send them off, make them fly, get another person, help them and let them fly. And that's like the biggest thing about coaching.
Yeah. And I am one person on that stage. I'm not just for a whole life. Like you, like how many coaches you have had or how many mentors. It's just we are growing. So I know that I am there for a certain level, people that I'm supposed to just meet. And when we complete the work, then they go and they look for whatever we created.
It does go in multiple levels.
Like, absolutely.
You might work with you initially, then they might come work with me, and then they might go work with Martha, and they're like, oh my God, where did this come from? Then they might go work with Alok, and they're like, whoa. Okay. because it's a self-development thing, and people, what you don't know is what you don't know. You
Okay.
have to start somewhere. And I
Mm-hmm.
have now been a coach for 2 years, and I've worked with 7 different people. And I'm about to probably join my 8th person probably next week. And it's that level of, okay, where can this person now take
Mm-hmm.
me to that
Mm-hmm.
next level?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that is mental, like for yourself,
Yeah.
and how is it that, like, in a business aspect
Right.
of giving them that feeling of, okay, Olga, I can tell you, like, hey, I can show you X, Y, and Z, and I can teach you this. And you'd be like, I never knew this. How come no one told me this 3 years ago? And
Right.
I may have said the exact same thing from someone that
Exactly.
said it 2 years ago to you. You just weren't ready to hear it.
Right.
Or
Right.
you weren't at that level where you're like, that doesn't make sense to me. And it's
Right.
not going to make sense until you're in a situation. And then all of a sudden, that's when those miracle breakthroughs occur.
Yes. That is so beautiful what you are saying, Bina. I hope that everybody is listening to it. This is a gold what you are saying. Just realizing that you are receiving on a different just kind of layers of who you are becoming. And it's just so beautiful just to recognize that you and I and everybody else, we constantly are cultivating who we are being. It
Never ends.
and I think it's just kind of Steve Hardison, one of the coaches that people might know or not know about, but he's saying something that I feel is just so powerful. We create every day. We just cannot help, but we create, okay?
Yeah.
And it's just what am I creating? Yeah, am I creating the same old same and then just being miserable and just being in one job and being don't liking it? Or am I someone who just really has desire to grow in so many assets of loving, serving, creating? Okay, because
Right.
I feel like those are the areas why I am doing that. And without just doing the personal work, and honestly, I just feel it's all working on releasing just any crap beliefs that I have about myself, forgiving myself for just judging myself for things that just have been there. So I really
That
feel that,
self-forgiveness piece is huge.
yep, yep. And for business owners, very much.
Have to have that self-forgiveness
Yeah,
piece
yep,
in order
yep,
for your business to grow. A
yeah.
lot of people asked, actually talking about Steve Hardison, he always says that we're under construction.
Mm,
If
yeah,
you're talking and you're doing things and we're in a place of being and in a place of creation, if you think of yourself as always being under construction, which means mistakes are going to occur, decisions are going to need to be made, challenges are going to arise, and you're going to have to forgive yourself for things that you have chosen to do. Oh, the building's going to go up today. The window needs to be painted. What color comes in? Artwork. Where are we going with the beautiful flowers that are behind your desk? Or are we going to go with something else? And the minute we're always in that state of being,
yeah.
it's always going to be a possibility because the choice is yours.
Absolutely. Einstein, he says something really fun. I don't know if I will paraphrase it by something like insanity is just doing the same thing over and expecting different results. And that's what you are talking about, right? It's just reconstruction is that you start doing things differently. That's what it is. You are taking away things that are unskillful in your life, unskillful thinking, unskillful living. And that's, to me, is what I mean by that word of reconstruction, really peeling off things that just don't serve me anymore. Because as that happens, there is a new soil and possibility that arises from within. And that is what is just so beautiful. Because think about it, being yourself a year ago and today as a business owner, totally different person, right?
Completely different. If
Me
from what
too.
people saw me in Mumbai to what people saw me in January, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
And
even matter about the
tell
financial
me,
piece.
yes, and tell me, why is it? Why is it that there is a difference? Well,
So initially it was just that go. I need to connect. I need to connect. I need to connect. I need to be here. I need to be there. I need to go this, blah, 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 blah. Versus like in Arizona, it was more of just, I want to sit back and watch.
right.
I want to listen. I want to hear their stories. I want to, instead of being the one talking all the
Mm-hmm.
time, I wanted to be the one listening. And
Beautiful.
I think that was a huge shift for me. Even now, it's just because, like, when you told me, when you walked into the room, I was quiet. I'm not quiet. We all know I'm not quiet. But it's that level of, okay, now people might call it confidence, people might call it whatever that they want to call it. You call it whatever you want. But what I'm doing is that it's checking my place of being. It's checking my energy level. It's checking where, because people have to realize that when you speak, if you overspeak, I call it a word vomit. Talking about whatever it is that you want to talk. Now, we're having an actual conversation on live, so it's a different conversation, right? But when you met me, it's very precise of what I say. Because then, if when I speak, what I say has 10 times more powerful than me just word vomiting.
Yeah.
You're going to remember those 3 words that comes in. And I can tell you an example is when I was talking to Sanika at that dinner. Sanika is a powerful speaker. I had him on this show a couple of weeks back. And all I stated to him, there's a download that came through. We were talking and I just said, I was like, Sanika, I just want to let you know, you are a powerful soul and you will go down in history because your voice is just that magnificent, that
Mhm.
electric. It's like a big hug that came in. And that was it. That's all I said. That was the only real conversation me and him had because it was very multiple people, right? And when we had our conversation meeting up, he goes, I remember that conversation because
Wow.
it's that. And when you're talking and when we're doing things, it's that level of you want people to remember what you said in that less than 10 minutes versus them going, oh my God, is this lady ever going to shut up? What are we doing here?
Mhm.
Do you see how, like, it's a different energy,
Mhm.
different energy? It's that level of active, deep listening. And Dave Horton is the amazing deep listener. If you want to be acknowledged, call up Dave Horton. He will acknowledge you.
For sure.
Somehow he also has that level of stepping back and just
Yes.
listening.
What I see that shift that has happened for you, I think it's very similar. I have realized how being is really important. And
Yeah.
people who you are talking about, there are people who were touched by just the Ultimate Coach book that was written by Amy Harrison and Alan D. Thompson. And I think that's what really, honestly, the biggest growth I have really experienced on the emotional, mental, spiritual, and intellectual level this past year and a half was really just working on my being. Who am I being? And realizing what kind of things I'm saying to myself. And what I'm hearing from you is that the being is the seed of doing.
Mhm.
And doing is the fruit of our being, right? And
Mhm.
I think that if we understand that as business owners, that being comes before doing. Who am I being
Yeah.
in having this conversation with my employee? Or who am I being as making just this online program or the coaching session that I have? It always comes first to who you are being. And I'm, and if it might sound very just generic, but if I said, I am love, I'm unconditional love, I'm showing up as a love because
Right.
love is
Right.
just,
Right.
and everything just then unfolds from that. That's, I think, is my biggest shift in my business. And I have seen the growth, even financially, that I'm more looking like I was just like you, being busy, but then, and it's important part too, don't get me wrong. I
Absolutely.
get busy now
But you
too.
have to know,
But but I flipped that I started just realizing who am I really being as this business owner? Who am I just in this place? What am I creating?
the clarity
Yeah,
piece. It's that
yeah,
clarity piece within you, that
yeah,
clarity piece of who you
absolutely.
are. It's the clarity piece of what you want to offer, the clarity piece of what do you want out of life in general.
Yes.
And the minute you get that, and there's a lot of that's mainly a lot of what I coach around is the clarity piece of life, coaching, business, whatever you want to do, because it has to come from within yourself. And as we wrap up, if you can give like in one sentence, what would be the one advice or one thing you would want to leave the audience with?
I really would just say, and it doesn't sound too entrepreneurial on the surface, but I think it's very depth of who an entrepreneurial person can be, and that is make peace with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that means to you, make peace just within yourself, because if you do make a peace within yourself, you will start seeing clearly, feeling clearly, listening more clearly, and from a different place. So I know that it doesn't sound really like entrepreneurial way, but it says, I know that's at the end what we
Mm-hmm.
all of us long for. Yes, you want to have great money, you want to have a great life, you have to provide for your family or have some extra money that your family can do just phenomenal things. But at the end, you want to do all these things because you really want to just feel peace. Because if you feel peace, you just are complete and you don't have to measure up to anybody. It's
Yeah.
just you are
Yeah.
you.
Oh, that is a golden nugget for anyone to hear.
Yeah.
And for more people who are trying to figure out what that means, please reach out to Olga. We'll have her information on the YouTube channel when this gets released. Thank you, Olga, for being here. Thank you for this amazing conversation. Like for everyone else, thank you all for listening. This will be on my page for about 72 hours, and then we will be releasing it at a later date on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube at Bina Bendale. There is way more inspirational people that are coming in who have already been on the show, who are coming up on the show. But Olga, I just want to say thank you. That is a golden nugget. Make peace within yourself.
Thank you. I will finish with Fauk.
I was waiting for it.
You guys, if you don't know what that means, you need to really listen back because you have missed something.
Okay, guys, until next time, I will see you guys all next week on a Friday. And thank you, Olga. Thank you very much. And see you guys all later. Have a good one.
Okay, bye.
Love it.